Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Rocket Monday, we're going to talk about space news of 03, 011, 2023. So let's dive deep into it. This is when I'm recording this. So the biggest news of this recent time is improvement to FAA, meaning things are getting to Congress, Senate. So things are getting important. Now, why this is a big deal? Well, reality is USA has more than enough horsepower in their private enterprise to get stuff done. That's the sole reason why they managed to get to space and get to moon, so to say. So they have enough private enterprises, enough horsepower behind them that if they really want to do something, they just have to ask. Now, biggest problem is this puppy, which is Federal Aviation Administration. This puppy is not flying properly. Now, you have to understand some context in it. Why this exists in the first place? Well, this was requested by private enterprise in the early days of aviation. Now you're like, why? Why did private companies ask for this sort of regulation? Won't they hate it? Well, they realized very early on. It's like the very early days of aircraft, it was a risky thing. It was like, daredevil kind of thing. So if they wanted to go into passenger system, everything was just like hope for the best. So they realized very early on is that there were many companies and many airlines, and their knowledge was not shared, and it was in the company's best interest. Let's say a plane crash happened, they did their internal investigation. It's like, why did that happen? They will gain the knowledge. It's like, we were flying at this altitude, this was the bad thing we did, and this cost, boom, they will keep that information. And when other aircrafts will reach that height and do something similar, poof, they do not have that knowledge. So unnecessary death happened, and it also could wipe them out from the map, and also limit how many new companies could get into it. So FAA created a central authority where they were like, dude, if somebody goes poof, tell me why did it went poof, and we're gonna spend our money, national resources to do our best to analyze what the hell went wrong. And brick by brick, day by day, year by year, they reached a point where they have created a catalog which allowed every aircraft manufacturer, if you follow FAA guideline, get it approved, it's gonna be safe within reason. So that's why this was created. It was a really good gift, and it did work. However, space is a bit different. So what worked for aviation, it's not really that good for space. Now, to give you a context how important this is, think of it this way. All these three people are representing three companies. One is SpaceX, Blue Origin, and third is Virgin Galactic. And I'm not joking, there were other people also from other companies, private players. So serious amount of effort was put into this. This is an issue that every private company is facing. So what's the essence of it? Essence is, I have linked the whole 1 hour 30 minutes of discussion. You should check it out. FAA is too slow. TLDR, it's too slow. Basically, SpaceX is like, bro, we can go to the moon. We just cannot get through your bureaucracy. We simply cannot. Like, flat out, we cannot. And it's understaffed, meaning there are certain regulations that can be bypassed. There are others that cannot be bypassed. Those requires, manpower. They require people to actually crunch that puppy. They don't have enough people. And they are outdated, meaning their structure is more based on that aircraft aviation era, not spacecraft era. They did create a slot where there was like, this is trial period, you have a bit more flexibility. That's just not enough. So what is the another requirement from these parties? Like, okay, that's the issue. What are they asking FAA to do? FAA is like, only focus on safety of others from us. Meaning, if you are launching the rocket, your job should be, is that land safe from the rocket? Is the people safe from the rocket? That's your job. Do not worry about the rocket. Don't worry about it. Now, like, what about its human rated? Do not worry about it. We are not putting human. Like SpaceX, if they want to test a rocket hundreds of times, only then they're gonna try to certify it for manned flight. If you stop them before they reach point, every rocket should not need to go through inspection and all that. So basically, things that they did for aviation industry, that's not necessary. The rocket is way too unknown, way too unknown, and you will like, wouldn't it help them? Like, having extra pairs of eyes? No. No, there is no scenario, there is no real world where you will have more research and development help you compared to actually testing it 10 times. Like real world testing, bitch slaps everything. So this hassle where they're like, dude, I get it. Like your job, you should do it, where it's like you are protecting everyone else from us. Good, awesome. It's just that don't intercede, don't go inside the rocket. Let rocket go boom. I will worry about it. Heck, it's in my best interest to make sure your rocket does not go boom. So I'll do it. I'll do my best. Just like there has to be a separation. There has to be a separation. Otherwise, it's just too cumbersome. And flat out. This was the requirement from all these three companies. You should check it out. And then they have improved the funding. This is from Senate. It's like these companies are asking Senate, can you please, for love of God, increase FAA's funding budget? Like there is a funding quota from the national budget. So please increase it. Because if you do not increase, they cannot increase the staffing requirement. If they cannot increase the staffing, they did. Flat out. Fundamentally, this is shocking. Even if you, relax regulation and all that, you can't relax everything. And the things that you won't relax, because industry is reaching such a high speed, such a high cadence, this is a choke point. And to rub salt on the wound, it's like national milestones would be missed. So what they are doing is basically saying, if you do not do this, China will F you. So Senate does hate China, so they're like, no. And I know for a fact that China can, very unlikely that China could actually beat USA, again, private enterprise. So it's very unlikely, but very good marketing, very good marketing. It's like, China will F you. So they're like, hey, get on this, make sure this puppy flies, make sure you have regulation to protect others from us, not us from us. So like there has to be some, like, because it's a new industry and you have to simplify the process. So could this have a big impact? Assuming this goes to the court and things gets done and all the hassle that it has to go through, if it actually happens, by the year 2025, USA space system will have a new set of wings and they will be flying faster than anybody could even imagine. They'll be like, whoa. People will like, okay, this is the country that literally put man on the moon. You'll understand that. Like, this is right now the choke point. They remove this, you will be like, whoa. Like, we did not knew that we can just like do this. So it is significant, and this should signify, it's like if this many companies came together and properly as a gentleman and is like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, that should give you a important, like, this is important. Then we come to another interesting company, that is the Exploration Company. Very simple name. And this is a European manufacturer, primarily focused from Germany and France. And what they're targeting is a manned craft, which they're going to use as a cargo craft. From day one, what they are building is a manned system. They are not like, we're going to build an electron rocket, then upgrade to neutron, then put cargo. No. It's a manned system, just to make sure that we do not get stuck in the verification and all that. It will be as a cargo system, meaning design is a manned system. We're going to test it, verify it, and then once we are confident enough, then we're going to mandate it. So that's why the cargo looks like literally a spacecraft. It is a spacecraft. It's a capsule system. Now, what is the dimension? Dimension is 4 meters, meaning this can be launched comfortably by many rockets. So that's the good part. Total mass of both of these puppies combined is around 8 tons. Now, what happened here? Well, they're a European company, they were relying on ESA. ESA was relying on Ariane 6. Ariane 6 went lol. If you have watched my last week's video, I talked about like how European Union lost its wing. Yeah, Ariane 6 was delayed way too much. This should have already been reached to a point where they're like, yeah, we should have final testing, but that was delayed. So this company is in talks with ISRO for the rocket PSLV, so they can do at least the demo. After that, they may go to SpaceX for other system. But again, even European companies are in a position where they're like, dude, every option cannot have like go to SpaceX. Like, all issues, all road leads to Rome. It will be like all roads leads to SpaceX. So they need to solve this. Like, Ariane 6 delay is brutally painful for European players. Like, it's far more painful for them than ESA itself. So this is a exploration company. Like, think about it. It's like you went from, we have our rocket, we are getting stuff done, to like, ISRO, can you help us out? So this is the whole point. Ariane 6 is really messed up. Then we come to Blue Origin. Now, Blue Origin just unveiled the Blue Moon Mark 1. Now, if it looks like a very low resolution, because it is a low resolution, it's what we call a rough mock-up. It's just like, it's not a prototype where it's not like, okay, they're going to have astronauts going in there. It's like, okay, this is where we want the window. This is where, no, it's just like a rough idea. Somebody did a CAD modeling. It's like, does physics check out? Yeah. Okay, let's just make it just to sell it, so to say. So it's very rough markup. This would be the final system. And the whole point of building this rather than the Blue Moon itself is that this will be the technology test bed, meaning they're gonna launch this puppy to low Earth orbit, refuel this puppy to low Earth orbit, then yeet this into moon, and it's gonna land on moon and come out back from there. Now, this will be classified as a Pathfinder mission. Hopefully, they're gonna launch in 2027. That's very optimistic, but let's see. And it should be able to send 3 tons to lunar surface. Now, here's the deal. Reality is that NASA messed up. big time. Now again, it's not NASA's fault, it's a fault of basically Senate, is that they forced this cursed rocket into basically NASA's ass. So NASA cannot get this puppy out, and they cannot cancel it, they cannot divert the funds, and Inspector General, basically the people who are responsible for financial accountability, they are screaming on top of their lung. It's like, this cannot happen. You are asking a rocket that we were expecting like 200-300 million dollar, it's costing optimistically 1 billion. Realistically, by the time we actually launch it, it will be $2 billion, and we cannot cancel it. It's like, they're like, what if we burn money? It's like, what if we burn more money? What if Boeing lied to us again? What if they are just like, oh, no, next time it will be cheaper? It's like, how it will be cheaper? So NASA is stuck with this. Now, what is the translation of that? Translation is Artemis will be delayed. Again, it's not news to anyone, because again, if you are following this puppy, you know, like whole Artemis is lol. We're not going to do anything important by 2024. At best case scenario, 2026, unmanned testing mission. Best case scenario of lunar surface touching down. Now, does this put them behind China? No. No. Like, this is one of those things that people overestimate China by an exponential amount. It's like, dude, look at their economy. They are not in such a healthy condition. They're like, not just like, yay, and everybody's like, they did a hop test of their first reusable rocket. I'm like, yeah, and SpaceX have more than 200 landings, successful ones, past tense, and they are doing hopping with even bigger daddy rocket. How? And they have this rocket. Rocket is built. So do not worry about that. Yeah, it will take more time. At worst case scenario, China could just like yeet there very quicker, but they won't be able to stay. And that's the biggest difference between China and NASA. NASA is like, we can go there. We did that. It's just that we have to stay there. For that, we require of, you know, basically fundamental supply chain before we actually go there. Supply chain has to be built. So that's what they are doing here. And that's why it's a bit more methodic, bit more time consuming. And there is one very interesting aspect of NASA itself shows up, is like, they're kind of aware that this project will be cancelled. The moment the bill starts to go to Congress, they're like, yeah, no. All the Senate people who, like, you know, paid for this puppy to work, yeah, no, they will cancel it. So they are designing in such a way, and specifically working with private players for this exact reason, is that even if this gets yeet out of existence, even if Artemis itself yeeted out of existence, all the research and development will be saved. It won't be you know, vented out of airlock, so to say. That's why even the space suit is being contracted to private players. They learned it the hard way, that all the research has to be in private hands. So in case of failure, they can, if private company fails, NASA collects the information, gives it to someone else. If NASA fails, as in like the Artemis gets closed, the research is still there. So do not expect Artemis to happen anytime soon or anytime quickly. So, but it's gonna happen. Sooner or later, it's gonna happen. By 2030, we should have some people walking around, hopefully. Then we come to another small company, that is a Rocket Factory, RFA, which is Rocket Factory Angstrom, German name, sorry about the pronunciation. Now, RFA is building a small rocket, which is 30 meter in height and 1.6 ton. So not very small, but it's a small puppy, and that's 1.6 ton to low Earth orbit. Now you will like, doesn't that mean like small rockets are fundamentally on an economic level unviable? Well, yes, that's factually true. Every niche that could have been fulfilled is already fulfilled. And then there is a big daddy issue of SpaceX now. Why SpaceX is such an issue? Well, here's the deal. Back in the old days, when this rocket contract started to happen, the Rocket Lab built Electron was a very early days. There was not that many options. The option was SpaceX and Rocket Lab. In those scenarios, you had a very luxurious option where it's like, hey, this is cheaper, but it launches on its own cadence. I may not find the slot when I need it. This will do home delivery exactly when I need it, where I need it. Awesome. Now here's the deal. Something changed. What changed? SpaceX became far more efficient. What does that mean? That simply means they are launching almost 2 to 3 launches per month, meaning no company in the planet can match that cadence. Meaning even in rideshare, you are more likely to launch your stuff and deploy in orbit before anybody can else even pick up the phone. So fundamentally, SpaceX beat them, and because they have a huge rocket, the payload to orbit cost is also low. So now they have solved the cadence part, they have solved the cost part, and because of the bus delivery system that many other companies have built, where they're gonna have a bus that's gonna carry to exact orbit that you need, even if the daddy rocket is in a different orbit, that also solves the delivery issue. So how the heck a small company to fight and survive? Well, they won't, not in long term. And you can see that in Rocket Lab's approach is they are like, hey, let's reuse Electron rocket and then just work our ass off to make neutron as quickly as possible. That's the primary reason for that. Economics just do not line up for a small rocket. So does that mean this company is literally building something that will be, like SLS? Well, no, they have noticed a very big niche. That niche is they are offering turnkey solution, meaning end-to-end microgravity research development. Meaning, imagine it this way: the same way a company wants to, like, hey, we make a medication for let's say AIDS, and there is a certain chemistry that we need to cook, so to say, and it works amazingly well in 0G. But on Earth, yield rates are very low, the purity is very low. If we can do this in space, shut up, take money. Now this company will go to this company, RFA, and what RFA will do is like, I got this, fam. So RFA will provide the rocket. On top of rocket, you also have to do something somewhere. So that somewhere would be Yuri. That would be the science taxi, where they're gonna do all the cooking stuff. And again, medicine is one thing. Other things are also there. For example, hopefully in far future, we're gonna have 3D printed organs. Now, like, wait a minute, why do you need 3D printed organ in 0G? Well, once you print it, it has structure. Before you print it, it does not have structure, meaning we cannot print it on Earth. There are some people who are trying it with like a gel-filled scenario. It's not working. So that is one approach, that if you can make the structure, like let's say we can print your whole heart out, it will have the structure. Once it has the structure, it can survive Earth gravity, but like it has to build the structure. So this approach is that we're gonna do medicine, and there are other crystals that are specifically needed for fiber optic. If they can make a high purity crystal for fiber optic industry, shut up, take money. So that job will be taken care of by Yuri, YURI. And then he was like, okay, you launched it, you did the cooking, how the heck are you gonna return it? Return will be taken care of by Atomus. Atomus is this puppy. So it's an inflatable return capsule. So it has much lower footprint, and it has much enough surface area that it allows very reliable re-entry. So what this company is offering is like, come to us, we're gonna take care of everything else. Come to us, and inside them, they're gonna be like, okay, Yuri, you're gonna take care of what they need to cooking. Okay, you sorted that out. Okay, Atmos, you're gonna take care of how the heck we're gonna return that puppy. Okay, ARFA is like, we got the launching part. So turnkey solution. This is very interesting. Now, would this be more expensive? Absolutely, it will be more expensive. But here's the deal. Look it from a point of view of let's say drug company, where they're like, dude, I go to you, you take care of it all. People pay for this service. Like, there are companies whose sole job is just that. It's like, we pay you, you take care of it. So this is a very unique approach. And you may be like, why can't we do this in ISS? ISS has so much paperwork and such a limited time and such over competition for it's a limited slot. It's like you may spend 2 to 3 years just trying to get into the list, not the final round, just into the list. And what about orbital reef? It's not real yet. So more and more companies are noticing there is a gap. And if they can take care of that gap very efficiently, shut up, take money. So this is the approach of Rocket Factory. Then we come to another bit different thing, is that ESA. Now, ESA have realized very early, again, they were developing Ariane 6, so they realized Ariane 6 is transported using barges. But Ariane 5 and Ariane 6 has significant enough differences, is that they're going to need a bigger boat. So they contracted a boat manufacturer to build a boat. Now, they went a bit different with this time. So idea was like, hey, we have to build something that goes into our rivers and collects the part, and then transports it into faraway land. What is faraway land? Basically going from EU coast, as in almost North Pole, to French Guiana, that is South America. That's far below, almost touching equator. So that's a long transport for your rocket. That consumes a lot of fuel, as in bunker oil, which is not only expensive, it's idiotically polluting also. So that creates a very serious bad image issue and cost issue for ESA. So ESA is like, they contracted, when they were building this new boat, they are like, hey, they contracted with some other manufacturers and they named this boat Canopée. So Canopée is a normal propulsion craft. It has enough horsepower to drive itself, but it also has sails. Now, these sails are big puppies. They are not tiny puppies. To give you a context, they are 37 meter tall. Huge. They are freaking huge. So it's huge, tall sails, and the total surface area is 360 square meter. So yeah, that's some significant survey. And because of the computer dynamics, because of the motor control and all the jazz development that has happened, is that they are projected to save bare minimum 30% fuel to as high as 50% if winds are favorable. So if nothing is working perfectly, they still have a ship. If winds are working even mildly well, they're like, we good. If the winds are really giving some love, they're like, we ultra good, ultra saving. And this is not just about a small niche craft. No. This is just like a very good synergy where ESA was like, we need something. And this company that is building the sailboats, they are like, hey, we need more test article. They have already built that test article where actual cargo ship was utilizing that. But they were like, okay, that's one, this is two, we need a bit more. So ESA is going to provide them far more research data, and that data will allow them to mass produce this puppy. What is the aim? French has apparently 20,000 ships, cargo ships, so they need like some serious technology to save fuel. And if they can save it, like if this puppy can guaranteedly, reliably save 10 to 20% fuel per voyage, and the cost is not too high, they're like, shut up, take money. So it's a very clever way of like utilizing ESA's niche requirement, its niche ability to milk something useful out of it. So it's a very good synergetic studio. So I like that. That's why I shared with you guys. So it's just a pilot project. Let that be very clear. So this is a working craft. It's gonna do work for ESA, but this was just a pilot. What they're supposed to have is bigger version of this in multiple fleets of cargo ships. So that's the aim. So this was my presentation on basically space news of recent times. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.